In this video, I'm going to give you some insight into one of the most important nutrients in the world today, OPC. OPC stands for oligomeric proanthocyanidins, which makes you understand why we call it OPC. This is the nutrient that is in our proanthanols product, and this is a product that has changed hundreds of thousands of lives over the last many years. It's going to be a lot of information, but stay with me because this is really important stuff and it could prove very valuable to you in many areas of your health. So first, let's just do a little history. OPC was discovered by Dr. Jack Masquier back in 1947. Part of what led to that was what is still common today. It's called the French paradox. And the French paradox is the idea or reality that despite from a society perspective, people that have a high tobacco use and less than an ideal diet, they have a very low incidence of heart disease, relatively speaking. And they trace that back to the red wine. And then the nutrient in the red wine that they've discovered is the OPC. Now, you certainly could drink lots of red wine, but I would suggest that if you drink tons of red wine every day, you might have other problems. So where does OPC come from? Well, it's found in many plants and typically found in the seeds and the skin and the bark. The richest source of OPC is grapeseed and maritime pine bark. Now, an example of the power of it is that grape seeds, it takes 661 pounds of grape seeds to get 1 pound of pure OPC. And that's what we use, pure OPC. So if you're using, for example, grape seed extract, you might get a little OPC from that, but you'd have to take bottles and bottles of it to get the equivalent of a tablet of pure OPCs. It's also considered the vascular vitamin, and it's been prescribed by French physicians for decades. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the antioxidant aspects, the antioxidant power, so to speak. Free radicals, oxidation, and the body. The body, when it's aging, essentially is oxidizing, and free radicals are just simply oxygen molecules that have gone crazy, so to speak. And you have this in your body all the time. It's taking place. It's a normal part of functioning, as you'll see in a moment. And so to the degree that you can quench the activity of a free radical, you can slow down the process. And so this is what leads to all kinds of things in your body, like inflammation. And many times this comes from free radical activity. Skin breaking down, lines and wrinkles are examples of free radical activity. Heart disease, plaque in arteries, the oxidation of cholesterol leads to plaque. Cancer, a host of other health issues. And part of the challenge in today's world is we've got this imperfect storm. You see, we have a massive amount of oxidative stress that is going on in our world, and it's just getting worse. At the same time, there's a decreasing antioxidants in our food supply. Now, that's happening for a couple of reasons. The first is pretty simple. People don't eat enough fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables. The amount of fruits and vegetables consumed by the average person is woefully low compared to what they actually need. But the other part of that is that the potency of those fruits and vegetables have decreased dramatically in the last 30 to 40 years. Most fruits and vegetables have half the nutritional value that they had 30 to 40 years ago, and that comes from USDA studies. And so you have this perfect storm of more oxidation and less antioxidants, right, which are the substances like vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin E and selenium and a host of other things that combat that process. And you get oxidation or free radical activity from all kinds of stuff, like metabolism, stress, environmental pollutions, which are all around us, increased chemical exposure, all around us, radiation, all around us, medication, exercise. And people have heard about people who seem to be fit, and they're runners, for example, and they have heart attacks. How can that happen? Now, certainly some of it could be genetic, but typically that's not the primary reason. The primary reason is because they're not getting enough antioxidants in their diet to combat the additional free radicals. You certainly don't want to stop exercising, so you should increase your antioxidants. So now we'll move into the benefits of pure OPC. So first, as an antioxidant, it's 20 times more potent than vitamin C and 50 times more potent than vitamin E. And those are two of the best antioxidants you can put in your body. But OPC is like Hercules compared to those. And it also magnifies the impact of other antioxidants in your body. Now I'm going to give you what that means to you. So everything I give you from here on is essentially what is called a structure function claim. And that's a pretty cool thing to understand, because in the United States, different nutrients, you're allowed to make structure function claims. You certainly can't make curative claims because that falls into the drug category. But if any kind of nutrient has a lot of structure function claims, then you can read it this way. It really helps those areas. I mean, it substantially helps those areas if it has structure function claims. So let's look at collagen and connective tissue. OPC protects the collagen structure in your body. It helps to maintain the strength, the resilience, and the flexibility of all your connective tissues and organs. Now think about what that might mean for any issues going on in the body. Anti-aging. It enhances your skin tone and the elasticity of it. It helps to maintain a youthful appearance. And you know, within a few months, people see a difference in all aspects of their body from that perspective. Sports is another cool area because it helps to minimize recovery time in general. It also enhances recovery following strenuous workouts. Everybody knows what that feels like, to do something a little too hard and then to be sore. This can make a huge difference in that area. Your eyes. It protects and supports retina health, and it supports visual adaptation to light. Joints. It strengthens cartilage and ligaments. It protects your collagen structure, again, because that's involved in your joints. It's really common to hear someone say they got relief from some joint discomfort by using OPC. And then that brings us to skin. It enhances the skin elasticity. So if you think about that, the skin's elasticity breaking down has a lot to do with how we look over time. So people who use OPC over a period of time tend to look better. Heart. It supports the entire cardiovascular system and circulation. We hear all kinds of stories of people who have reduced swelling, for example, in their lower legs. I mean, that's just one little tiny example. Cardiovascular, similar to heart because it protects the collagen structure. It strengthens the cartilage and ligaments throughout the system. So the entire cardiovascular system has a better opportunity to work well for a longer period of time. Brain. There's all kinds of stories about focus and attention because this nutrient feeds the brain. And then allergies. Lots of people find relief from asthma and allergies and sinus issues, and the list goes on from a respiratory perspective. This is definitely not a cure. It just helps the body to deal with these issues in many cases, and people feel better. So that brings us to what proanthanols is. So proanthanols is pure Masquerades OPC. It's the pure formula, and it is the best OPC you can get. It's water soluble and non-toxic, right? So you can take as much as you want and it will not hurt you. There's no interactions with any medications. It's also enhanced by nature's cofactors. And what that means is where you find OPC in foods, it's always in conjunction with other things, right? Because foods aren't one nutrient, foods are multiple nutrients. And so those are nature's way of providing cofactors to allow you to use something. We enhanced OPC in this formulation by putting in the primary cofactors you find in the very foods you would get OPC from, so that the OPC is more bioavailable and more active. And then we synergize it in a base of phytonutrients so that your body's better able to assimilate it. And then we cold process it to preserve it, right? So it's not getting burned up by high heat in cooking, because high heat kills food, and this is food. All right, so there is just some basics on OPC, and then of course proanthanols. And I know that was a lot of information in a relatively short period of time, but it does a lot of things. It's not magic. It just gives the body a tool to work with, and some pretty cool things tend to happen. So I hope you found this helpful.